Hello, everybody. Whoa, Fido's lit his face up. Nice stuff. Anyway, welcome to an interview about a new SPL roster. Rosters are now announced, and you all know that we've got a new team featuring fineokay and sLainy, who are joining us today, alongside adapting Shinto, Rongyu, and Zapman. They'll be playing under the Atlantis Leviathans. No Zungle this year. He's still a ZDC. But we'll see how long that lasts. How you doing, guys?
It's safe for another year.
Yeah, the league survives one more. We don't get the Barra Zap team that's been promised for so long. Maybe one day.
I don't think they would have been accepted. But
anyway, speaking of getting accepted, I guess let's start this off by just talking about the timeline. Like, these teams have to come together pretty quick. Obviously, you're submitting rosters within a week probably of SWC ending. What were how did the conversations come about? How did this team start to form? Let's go sLainy. Go sLainy, go.
Okay, all right.
he has an idea.
For me, it was a bit different. Throughout last year a lot. Obviously, I was pretty. I had a pretty crazy year last year. It's like a lot of team changes, a lot of teammate changes. And just during that time, I just kind of been speaking to people, and I'd kind of spoken to Rongyu and Shinto a lot, and we'd kind of expressed interest in teaming with each other again. So Rongyu was the first person that I reached out to basically after Worlds, because I was really keen on teaming with him again. And then another point of that was obviously last year we were looking for a lot of junglers. And there was actually a point in time where Kenneth was thinking of joining us on the Scarabs, but that was when he decided that he wanted to do another semester at in uni. So it was kind of two things coming together that had just been worked out previously. And then obviously Alec and stuff. He's one of my favorite teammates, so we had a slot open for solo. So I was pretty pushing for Alec, and I think they all wanted him as well. So. That's my side, basically.
So it all started even before SWC conversations were happening. And then, Alec, the Dragons decided to break apart pretty soon after. Was it a quick thing with you getting approached and then deciding on this team?
Yeah, I was approached pretty quickly after SWC, but I was quite unsure on what the future was, just because we didn't know exactly what we were going to do on the Dragons. I think we were... Daniel, Max, and I, well, not Max. Max, if he could have played from home, he was trying to get that to happen, but that didn't happen. We're all still pretty set on still teaming together. We didn't really know quite where Mike and Scream's heads were at, and then we had a team discussion for a few hours, and still we're a little bit unsure on where their heads were at, because it kind of happens when sometimes people, I think, aren't as straightforward as they probably are in their head, what they've already decided, basically, which is fine. I mean, sometimes it's hard to put into words why you want to make a change or anything like that. But so then once we kind of figured out exactly where they wanted to go and where their heads were at, made it pretty easy for. Actually, it didn't make it easy for me, because I still wanted to team with Daniel. Daniel was he was such a great teammate, and I think he's so good and has so much potential. But I also just it just took a little bit of time to think about, few nights rest, I guess, and I just, I wanted to team with Pete again. I wanted to team with Kenneth for a while. I mean, I came into SPL in season 4/season 5, so I was a big fan of the SPL before. I watched adapting, I watched all these top players, and I've always wanted to team with him. I think I've only heard good things about him as a teammate, and I think he's hungry again. After taking a bit of a break from SPL, and I think he showed his potential on his SCC team. And of course, last but not least, the Leviathans boys, Shinto, Ronnie, and Zap now. Obviously I've always wanted to team with them. It's going to brush up on my Spanish a good bit, I think, as well. So happy about that. But yeah, it wasn't more so I left Dragons and immediately went to the Leviathans. It was more just weighing options, and then, finally deciding I want to team with this team. It'll be fun. Even though I did have some hesitation at first, I'm super excited to team now, especially after some time and some, a good bit of thinking about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an exciting roster. Super exciting. I think to touch on something a little bit more, which you mentioned there, which is adapting coming in. You watched him season 2, season 3 before you came into the league and saw the sort of level of dominance that he was putting down. I experienced it myself. a few times. The guy was pretty good at the game. How do you feel about like the level of the league now, and do you feel like Adapting can come straight back in and be a top jungler? I guess I'll give this one to you first, sLainy. Like, do you think that he's going to take a bit of ramping up to get used to the level again, or do you feel like he can slot straight in?
I think we have more than enough time with scrims. I mean, obviously his mechanics are going to be like no different. He's still going to be, a top level mechanical player as he's always been. Maybe it will like take him a bit to get used to like I think EU and NA still have like a pretty different play style. So maybe it'll take him like a second to get used to like how NA has been a bit more. But I mean, I don't personally have any worries, or like it hasn't really crossed my mind thinking about how he's going to adapt to things. I guess the name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not worried about it. I think he's going to be great.
And Alec, I guess you already said you wanted to team with him, and now you're teaming with him. I guess you must feel pretty confident in his ability to kind of step back in as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think, I mean, I think maybe we're coming in with like a different Kenneth as well. Just because I think once you take a break from the game, and once you've like been dominating or been at like the top for a while, and you take like a decent break, it can kind of, reignite your passion for the game. And he's just been streaming a lot lately, which is a good sign. And I think it kind of comes down to like how you like meld your team together, and like who gets in there for the rest of the people. And I'm gonna be holding W. I'm gonna be getting in there, and Zapman's gonna be holding W and getting in there. So we have Shinto, and we have Adapting to clean up and get fed. So I'm pretty excited to see kind of how our playstyle pans out, and hopefully we don't have the copium dragons run it down play style like I've had to deal with for 3 years. Even though, whatever, I don't prescribe to that. But yeah, maybe we'll be a late game team this time around, and I'll be able to I don't know, play like Tiamat solo or some shit.
Could be fun, sucking up the blue buff, maybe getting the speed buff as well. That could feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that the play styles that'll mesh in this team, and I guess the Levi's have always been a little bit more of a slower paced team than other teams in the league, right? I would probably put them as one of the slower paced alongside like Kings and Warriors, maybe.
Yeah.
So teaming with those guys will be interesting. That's one that I want to touch on actually. Zapman, Scrim Zapman. We've all heard about it. We've all heard the stories. For 6 months of the year, it seems like the guy. He's dropping double-digit deaths most days. How do you think you're both going to deal with that? Do you think you'll be able to whip him into shape, get him to focus up for spring and summer split, shall we say, or is he still going to be limit testing?
I mean, I feel like I must have had it way different on Scarabs. Maybe it was just because we were a bunch of rookies when he was teaming with us, because he was like really helpful. He actually wasn't sprinting it down in scrims, but I think that was obviously because he was like trying to help everyone learn. So maybe we can like try and like get a little bit of that, like Steve, where he's just going to help everyone learn and like mesh together. But I also think with like the way that the league has changed and is doing the season this year, that maybe it will like cause something in him to realize, like first split actually matters more this time, so let's like put more effort into scrims kind of thing.
Yeah, I also think that was actually probably the only hesitation I had on joining, was that I like taking the whole year pretty serious and trying to win everything, because it's not fun to lose.
Yeah.
Like no matter who you are, no matter how much like copium you huff, that it's just play it till the end of the year. Like it's not. You don't go each week and you're like, oh, I'm having such a good time losing to these like horrible teams and stuff. So, yeah, that was like my only hesitation. But I had like a chat with Ronnie, and basically he reassured me that like this, like going into this year's app is like a lot hungrier. That like he doesn't want Yark to win another ring, and like he's just a lot more motivated, which I appreciate. But also, I think that the what's the word here that I'm looking for? The scenery change for him is pretty important as well. And that's actually one of the things I kind of pushed for to join the team. So we were actually going to maybe even team with Panatome, which I'm perfectly fine with. I would love to team with Panatome. I think he's a beast. However, last year, and just like, rumors have it that that they were thinking about kicking Panatome a couple of times throughout the year. And for me to join a team, I don't want to join a team that's like going to stick with a player that they've already considered kicking a couple of times. We're starting a new year. I think it's better for both parties to split and like go and try something new. And I think with me and Kenneth bringing like maybe a fresh perspective and maybe just a new look to the team, I think kind of what Pete was just saying, that like kind of like that Scarab situation. We never teamed with each other. I've literally never played with Zap in comms in my life. So like he might be more hungry to show like what he's worth and maybe teach me a thing or two, and maybe I can teach him a thing or two. So I think that kind of like fresh scenery might help.
Yeah, I mean, I think you see it a lot with roster changes, right? When new players come in, everybody gets motivated, everybody starts grinding, working harder, and you come up with better ideas and play better for it. Which, I mean, maybe it happened too many times on the Scarabs, sLainy, but you guys tried to make the most of it at least. But you see it a lot, like that honeymoon phase where new teams come together and everybody, I feel like, is at their best, right? When a new team comes together, people are at their best because they want to show their best side to their new teammates and make friends and do well, which is cool. But we're going to get a lot of that this year, right? So much action in the roster apocalypse. I think this must be the biggest one ever, right? There's no way there's been one as big as this.
Yeah, this has
Yeah.
got to be the biggest, yeah. Especially
I think
because there's so
maybe-
many returning players, right? Or a few at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe season 6 was also pretty close because that was when we joined the
Or
league
EUNA,
together, and EUNA had to make teams together. So that was pretty crazy when that happened. You know, like even our team rival was me, Mike, and Max, NA, and then
Yeah.
Kenny
and Twig and
Ben and Pete.
yeah.
So 3-3, like pretty crazy.
Yeah. I guess you guys are quite a multinational team as well, right? You've got 2 Latin American, 2 NA, and 2 EU, right? That's it. 2.
Yeah, and one of our players is half European, half Latin American.
Yeah, exactly.
He's Greek and
Yeah, true.
Ecuadorian, right?
Yeah, it's wild. Very, very interesting time to be involved in Smash. It's cool. I think it's super cool to see teams branching out and to see now you've sort of had the Levi's. They've had their comfort time in the SPL, right, where they stuck with mostly the same players. They end up making some roster changes, bringing in Zap and Haddix, and now seems to be splitting off. How much how much have you guys interacted with sort of Ronnie and Shinto? Have you had much time to, I guess Pete, you've been saying that you've been speaking to Ronnie at least a little bit in the, and Shinto, I think, in the breaks between splits and things like that. How familiar are you with those guys at this point?
You want to go first, Alec?
Sure. Yeah. I've talked to him quite a bit, like when we're in person or just like at the studio or anything like that. Obviously, kind of their tenure in the SPLs coincided with COVID a little bit, so we haven't had as much time to do stuff in person. But I've played games with Shinto quite a bit. Like we used to play 7 Days to Die, me, Max, and him. So hang out in the stream all the time. We like to mess with each other. We have fun. Ronnie a little bit less so. I haven't really spoken to him too much. We've had a couple of parties like in Alpharetta that I've been to with him and talked to him for a while. So they're both really nice. They're definitely our party animals though, and I can't hang with that. So but yeah, they're cool, and I think we're gonna be good friends on the team.
Yeah, it's pretty similar for me. I would say most of my time, like spending time with them, was just at parties. We would like kind of just be at a lot of them, especially like last year. There were a lot of jump conversations had about like, oh man, I want to team with you so bad, the back and forth. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we have pretty good personalities with each other as well. I feel like it's pretty easy to like banter back and forth with each other, which I think is always really good. So I feel like we're all going to be pretty good friends.
Awesome. I'm excited to see you guys play. I guess just to finish us out towards the end here, I was wondering, like, sLainy, you've had to put rosters together and to kind of sellotape them and to fix broken relationships and things like that. How do you go about managing that as a new team forms, and what do you see as important going into this season? Like as you ramp up your first sets of scrims, your initial meetings with each other. I don't know if you're living together. I don't know what your living situation's like, but touch on that. How do you feel like you need to manage this team to make it successful?
That's like a pretty hard question to answer, considering we haven't really had any time to scrim with each other. I think like going forward, I think like making sure we spend time together and we become friends. I personally value that pretty highly. I think that's like for example, why we're really good on like Rival and Ghost, because we spent a lot of time together. And then when we were successful on the Scarabs, it was when we were close. So I think just making sure that we're like being friendly with each other, like making sure we're joking around, like hanging out outside of the game when it's not horrible weather outside. But just making sure that everyone's always like open to feedback as well. I don't want anyone to like feel like they can't like speak to each other, like they can't bring up issues with each other. I don't know if that's like been an issue with them in the past. One thing to keep in mind with like Rongu and Shinto is that they've not really had that many teammates before. Obviously, they've made like a couple roster changes, but overall they really haven't had that many players like as compared to like me and Alec, for example. So I think making sure that they adjust with new teammates is going to be like a big priority with me.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess one for you, Alec, if you have to let one of your new teammates die to secure the Gold Fury, which one are you letting die?
Probably Ronnie. We're gonna work on it this year, but I'm getting that guy to die more than the past couple of years.
Let the supports go down. I respect it. Is that something you've pointed out for Rongi? Is that one you've got for him? He needs to die more.
Yeah, we're gonna get in there. He's gonna get in there with me. I'm not. Last year, all I heard every scrim was, "Oh, we don't dive. It's not dive meta. We're not doing that. We're diving. We're diving."
I love it. I'm excited to see it.
Be pressed.
And then Shinto won't be diving. There's no way he's in there, right?
He'll be getting in there. I don't know. Tiamat jump in.
Dog
maybe.
Mode. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
I love it. Maybe they'll finally buff Tiamat, so if you suck up an enemy and kill them, you get their buff. I've been pushing for it. It has to happen.
Wow, that's actually cool. Like Pac-Man or like
yeah, you can
like
steal
Kirby.
FG. That'd be crazy. But anyway, that's it. Thanks so much, guys, for coming on. I really appreciate you taking your time, and I'm excited to see how the Levi's work out this year and watch you guys play and do work. I'm super excited for your team. Really fun squad you've put together.
Thanks.
Cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. Goodbye.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye.